Hasbro brings us yet another of the timeline set. This time, it's Megatron and Bumblebee in their Hearts of Steel incarnations. And speaking of Heart of Steel, I have Stormy here, who's decided he wants to get in the video and in my way. I know this came out a while ago, but I just hadn't had time to review it and kind of forgot about it, but now I'm gonna do it and pet cats while I'm at it. So if you're not familiar, these are like an Elseworlds what if type scenario where Transformers landed on Earth much earlier, and apparently Autobots are like joining with Thomas the Tank Engine and becoming trains, whereas we had a weird experimental flying machine for Starscream, and now we have a cannon for Megatron instead of a gun or a tank. Either way. But before I go too much further, I do want to thank our sponsor for this video, Toy Hacks. And they make some amazing decals to replace the ones on your old G1s and G2s. But also, as you can see with this video of Superion over here, you can use them to glow up your newer Transformers. And not just your newer ones, your Combiner Wars and your Titans Returns and your maybe even way as far back as Armada. They got a lot of stickers. They've been around for a while. And they have backdrops, they have an armory. You definitely want to check them out at toyhacks.com. But we are going to go back in time, or sideways in time, or to another time where trains were not just liked by Joe Biden and cannons were, you know, not just printers. So we're going to get into the set and have some fun along the way. If you're new to the channel, I'm Captain Kyle. Welcome aboard. If you've been watching for a while, thanks for coming back. Very nice of you. So let's do this thing. Be right back. So yeah, very nice artwork showing our two Cybertronian foes fighting each other because, you know, they fight each other. And on the back, it shows them in their robot and alternate modes. And on the side, there's a little rip. I'm not sure where that came from. I don't remember it coming that way, but there's cats around. They might have rubbed up against it and, you know, who knows what happened. But I do love the packaging. Again, it's got an Autobot symbol on one side, a Decepticon symbol on the other. They got all this kind of steampunky pipes and gauges and stuff like that. So it looks pretty cool. And just like the other set, they don't open in the normal way. I can peel back these stickers and slide them out. Well, they gotta come off those stickers too. So it comes out kind of like a book. Now, for those who aren't aware, books are what we used to look at information in before there were all these computer things. It's kind of like a very low-tech Kindle. But when you open it up, you can see them in their little window boxes. You can see Bumblebee there, and you can see Megatron. And they're kind of similar in size, which doesn't make a lot of sense for Bumblebee and Megatron, but, you know, what can you do? And again, a repeat of all the cool steampunkish type stuff. Now, the Hearts of Steel storyline, I never read it, so I am not familiar with what happened during it. One of these days, I will have time. Okay, one of these days, I'll make the time and I'll actually read it. But in the meantime, I can still enjoy the toys. Confession, I've never played any of the video games, the Devastation game, War of Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, any of those, but I still enjoy the toys. I did play the Beast Wars video game and I still have it for PlayStation. Not PlayStation like 5 or 17, the PlayStation. And I still have it somewhere. But let's get these guys out of their prisons. And there we have Bumblebee on his card. And he seems to have a hammer, like, I don't know, John Henry Irons. And he's got a little gun, little cute little gun there. Well, Megatron is there with some kind of fusionish type cannon. Now, what I'm liking so far is there's no Autobot paper to like totally, you know, unbadass Megatron, because that is the case. But what I have found is a piece of paper and instructions, which may come in handy. Now for the clipping, and making a mess on the table. Now, someone had suggested a different type of clipper, so I wouldn't risk damaging the Transformers, but I'm pretty dang careful. I have the hands of a surgeon who's been an alcoholic for about 17 years. And so there's Bumblebee, but he doesn't appear to be able to stand because I don't think his feet are out. I'm gonna take a chance and push out what I imagine are the feet and zoom a little bit closer so you can see him in all his golden train glory. So one is free, and we'll give him his accessories. Now, unclipping Megatron, he's got these plastic covers on his spiked wheels. I don't know why, if they were concerned someone would get a boo-boo by touching them. So there is the mighty Megatron, a little taller than Bumblebee, and I'm assuming that's where his cannon goes, but we'll double check in a moment once we remove all this plastic crap from the table. Alrighty, let's take a look at these instructions. And yes, it would appear that that's where his cannon goes. And big shocker, I figured out Bumblebee's feet. And here is Honor. So we had Stormy, now we have Honor. You guys are just seeing way too many cats. But thus far, cats have not outnumbered Transformers. Now, one thing that you should probably know as Honor decides to go right in front of the close-up cam is her and Stormy don't get along. They're still getting used to each other, and Honor, to be honest, isn't very happy with anybody. So we're gonna put Bumblebee aside, and we're gonna start with the leader of the Decepticons, who just fell over, and Honor is still in the way. Honor. So Honor has finally moved, so I can show you Megatron in all of his old-fashioned glory. I'm gonna spin him on the turntable of doom. He's pretty cool looking. He's got the black helmet, not the silver. He looks very, very interesting as a cannon in this form. It's a pretty badass design, to be honest. And from head to toe, he is about slightly more than 5 3/4 inches, closer to 6 if you count his wonderful shoulder pads. I guess that was in the 1880s a thing too. So he's pretty cool. He's got the arm cannon, keeps his hand clear for, I don't know, scratching his ass. I mean, he's not carrying a weapon, and I don't think that there's enough space for him to carry his own weapon as a gun. Not really, just the way it's designed. It's not really able to go in there. So I guess he could grab someone else's weapon, you know, maybe during the battle of Autobot Western Town, and 4, Optimus 4! But overall, I like the deco. He does look very reminiscent of the G1 with his chest plate. So I am liking his design and aesthetic overall. I mean, he can kind of bash himself in the side of the head with his own spiked wheels, which, you know, hopefully he doesn't do that too much, but that could be why he makes some shitty plans sometimes. So let's get through some posability. And of course, the first thing I want to know, can he do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme? Toes up, of course. And yes, that would appear to be the case. Not a problem. And you can even use his gun to kind of keep him from flopping forward. Now these are like, I guess, deluxe size-ish figures. Now, does he have ankle swivels? Well, a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. Not as generous as, say, you know, Dinobots. Can he kick forward? Yes, very nice and high. Back is pretty much straight back 90 degrees. Side kick, double side kick. In fact, he goes a little bit more than straight across, so a little double jointed there. Can he twist at the waist? Yes, he can. Arms go all the way around. He can bend at the elbow. His gun came off, but he can bend at the elbow without his gun in place, even more than 90 degrees, so that's kind of a nice thing. He does have a swivel. His arms can go to the side, but like I said, he's gonna bash himself in the side of the head with his own spiked wheels, so I could see where that could be a problem. Head all the way around, and it actually wiggles a bit so he can look down a bit, look up, tilt it side to side, quizzically. Oh, he bends at the knee. I forgot to show that part. That's kind of important. And it's more than 90 degrees. And he also swivels in the leg. So I covered everything, just not in the normal order. So a pretty cool looking version of Megatron. And what's kind of cool is with his gun, I always remember in the cartoon, the G1 Megatron having the gun on the top, kind of like the toy. But a lot of the later Megatrons had the gun kind of on the side of his arm, which made sense for, I guess, some things. Now, the post being so far back, it almost looks like a regular gun instead of a fusion cannon, but I'm not going to complain too much, and there's probably a reason for that placement. You can't flip it over and use the other part, unfortunately. So a cool figure. Let's get him into his cannon mode. So there is Megatron in his cannon mode. Yeah, I have to say it's a pretty cool looking cannon. I like the spiked wheels for rough terrain. I will say that the transformation, which I did not show, but I may in a future transformation video, which I'm still working on getting my space set up for that, and it'll happen eventually. But lining up his arms, because of the way the joints are, you have to like wiggle them back and forth and make sure that you put these pieces in the proper posts, or else you're not in the right configuration. But he's got wheels on the back here, on his legs, and these wheels, so let's see if we can do a roll test. And I have to say, for a cannon, I mean, that is pretty good. If you're holding it like this with the wheels, and if you look at it from certain angles, it can look a little phallic, but you know, I'll leave comments like that to come from Logan in the comments. But yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool, and it gives him some mobility. And I imagine that, you know, by spinning one wheel forward, and you know, he could aim himself instead of when he's a gun having to rely on other Decepticons to point him in the right direction. Now, this turret does not actually elevate at all on its own, so you just have to use your imagination. But there's Megatron. I like it. I am a cannon, you mother. Anyways, let's move on to Thomas's new friend, Bumblebee. And I'm going to try to work around the cat because there's peace right now between Stormy and Honor, because Honor's in the other room, and I don't want to send Stormy into the other room and starting trouble. Problem to being a cat dad. So he's pretty cool looking. I mean, he's got the classic Bumblebee head. I can't say he's as good looking as Megatron as a robot. He's got the front of the, I was going to say caboose. Is it caboose? I don't know. The front of the engine. We don't want to look at your caboose. With the Autobot symbol in there, he's got whatever these are on the front of trains. I imagine they're to push stuff out of the way. You know, in the case of something getting onto the tracks, you know, maidens in distress or whatever. It's kind of scrape him to the side, you know? His gun kind of reminds me of like a Star Trek phaser. It's kind of short and stubby. Shut up, Logan. And then he's got the hammer to bring the hammer down, which is kind of a neat additional weapon. He's been working on the railroad. Okay, I know you guys don't want to hear me sing. So if I'm wrong, you know, leave comments and we'll do a special Kyle Sings video. Captain Kyle and the Songs of the Universe. Too much? Too much. But let's take a look at his, first of all, the deco. I mean, you can see he's got B something E on each side. B. It says B on each side, but there's a piece of plastic that's supposed to be like some kind of part of his smokestacks covering it. So, but it says B on each side. So, but yeah, pretty cool looking. But again, I'd say in the looks department, Megatron's a little bit better. But let's see, can he do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme? Well, apparently he can, though with the wheels on the back of his leg, well, legs plural because he's got two of them, kind of flops forward, but he can still actually get into the position. Give him two chairs and he's all set. Now, he actually has some modest ankle swivels, so not a whole lot, but some. I actually am not sure how I feel about ankle swivels because they shouldn't be able to go as far as some of the Transformers out there can like go 90 degrees. It's like, that's not helpful. And if they're trying to make them more posable, that's not going to put them in any kind of good pose. In some cases, I think it's part of the transformation, but sometimes, again, they make the ankle swivels a little too generous and they don't need to. So I'm okay with, you know, with decent ankle swivels as opposed to really extreme ones. He can kick forward, not as high as Meg's. Kick back, actually a little higher in the back than Meg's could, though. Side kick, full side kick, and again, based on his joints, it's like slightly more than a split. He has knees, I think. He does. They're just a little stiff. I know the feeling. I'm getting up there, man. And you're like millions of years old, even though you act like a little punk-ass bitch when it comes to Prime. But yes, he's got knees that go more than 90 degrees, though it kind of detaches his wheels on the side of his legs when you move it like that, so just something to be aware of. I mean, detaches them as in unplugs them up from a post. It doesn't like break it. He's got swivels twisting at the waist all the way around. He's got these weird wing things in the back that come up. His arms can't go all the way around because of his shoulder pads. Again, an 1880s thing. Arms can go out to the side, bend at the elbow. He's got swivels. The fist can fall off entirely because I tried to twist it to see if it would twist, and it's not supposed to. So no, his fists and Megatron's, by the way, they don't twist either. His head here can also turn all the way around, move forward and back a little bit. I noticed the later Transformers that have been coming out, their head have a little bit more mobility than just turning. You can put his shoulder pads higher. I guess it makes him look more bee-like. So he can be like, "Come, my brothers and sisters, my brother and sister trains. We are gonna worship at the St. Thomas Railroad Station." I don't know, I'm just a little punchy. These appear to also be some kind of potential weapons on his shoulders, so I don't know if in the comic he ever used them as such. And again, for someone with a hammer, all Decepticons look like nails. And he's got his little phaser. Actually, holding it that way looks a little bit more like a snub-nosed gun, but if you turn it the other way, It actually looks like a phaser, but I have a feeling that if he pulled the trigger, he would be shooting himself in the arm. So we'll put it, I think, the way it's supposed to be, which according to the instructions is that way. But if you want to pretend it's a phaser, go right ahead. Cons! Anyway, let's remove his weaponry and let's get him into his train mode. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, you can actually push this plate further down so it doesn't look like he's got like a halo, but I could see this actually being a little bit protective of the back of his head, but you know, let's leave it down so he can get shot right in the back of the head. Why not? So there's Bumblebee, the little engine that could. Interesting transformation. I actually thought this was like the front of the train, but apparently this is, and I'm gonna continue to move around a particular cat. Yeah, pretty neat. We got an Autobot symbol on top, though he's also got one on the front of the train. Weapon storage is on the bottom. You put the hammer here and the phaser gun right there. And he's got wheels, which means... And he's actually pretty smooth. It's been a little while since I messed around with the Optimus one. Don't go off the table. But I have to say, I think this one might be a little smoother. And he doesn't look quite so star-spangled. I mean, he definitely looks like, you know, someone obsessed with gold, basically built a train. And he's a little over 3.5 inches in his train mode. Megatron, like 5.5 inches in his tank mode. And I just realized I forgot to measure him, my bad, when he was in robot mode. He's about 4 3/4 inches in robot mode. But there you have them, Hearts of Steel Megatron and Clumsy Bumblebee. Or maybe I can just move this slower. Yeah, pretty cool. Though I could definitely see where, I don't know, maybe some decals can go on them. Like maybe from our sponsor, who I definitely would like to thank again for sponsoring this video, Toy Hacks. From G1 to the latest releases, they can help you replace or just place decals on your Transformers to make them look so much better. And they have backdrops, an armory, all kinds of neat stuff. Visit them at toyhacks.com. And I do like this set. I'll put a link in the description so that you can pick it up for yourself. And while you're debating over these two particular Cybertronians out of their element, actually check out this one over here, which is the Starscream and Optimus of the Hearts and Steel. And if you're enjoying these videos, by all means, feel free to subscribe. That'd be awesome. And we'll see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.